And we've come to it at last. Sadly, this is very bittersweet for me because I actually have enjoyed doing these videos and talking about Legend of Korra because it's one of my favorite shows on TV right now. And now, Book 2, Spirits, has concluded. And I'm here to talk about the final 2 episodes in the season. And let's get started. Alright, so where we last left off, Vaatu was finally free, and harmonic convergence is here. So, Korra promptly picks up Unalaq, throws him out of the spirit world, and tells Bolin and Mako, like, look, go keep him out of the spirit world. I will take care of Vaatu. So, then begins this really awesome battle between Korra and Vaatu. And this is where, like, the best animation they've done in a long time. They just, like, fight, and it's this epic battle, and it's pretty much the same quality you would expect from Legend of Korra, and it is fucking awesome. And then, meanwhile, Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi are also in the spirit world, and they're looking for Jinora. And, they are just looking around and trying to find, like, where they are, and Tenzin goes up to him and goes up to this light and says, "Excuse me, we're lost. Could you help us find it?" And it's this giant fucking spider that comes out, like, "Hey, I will kill you all! Humans, get out of here!" So that that was pretty funny. And there's also a moment when they're walking around. They feel like they're walking in circles. And it's like, oh, we're lost. I've seen that mushroom 5 times now. And then it's like, that's not the same mushroom. And the mushroom actually says, "Yes, I am." I love moments like that because it just shows the craziness and creativity of this world and the ability to infuse humor into it, really dark situations. I just love it. I love moments like that. They just make this show for me. But also, back at the Tree of Time, Korra is continuing to fight Vaatu, and she's trying, like, Vaatu's kind of having the upper hand right now, and Unalaq manages to get back into the spirit world because they're hopeless. So then not Jinora, but Desna and Eska, they come up, and they pretty much beat up Mako and Bolin. I mean, they're defeated. And then, Unalaq walks in, and he's like, "Keep these 2 occupied." And he just walks back into the spirit world. So, that sucks already. Because, especially, like, Desna and Eska, they got mad beef against Bolin. So, they're not in a very good place right now. But also, back with Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi, they actually find Iroh, and he tells them, like, be careful. Do not go too deeply into the spirit world, or you could end up in a place where only lost souls can find you. And Tenzin has this, like, light bulb moment where he goes, "Aha! Now I know what I have to do." So he actually goes back to that dark spider spirit and tells him, like, "Hey, ugly!" And I think he throws something at it, and the spider is just like, just wraps them up, traps them, and drags them to this place called the Fog of Lost Souls, and throws them in there. And meantime, Korra finally has trapped Vaatu the way Wan did 10,000 years ago, like by forming all 4 elements around him and pushing him back into the Tree of Time. And that doesn't work because you're like, well, that was way too easy. And then Unalaq comes, bam, knocks her over. Vaatu is free again, and you go, oh, well, there you go. That was way too easy. And then also back in Bolin and Mako's cases, they are they manage to escape. They get back into the spirit world, and Korra is pretty much knocked out right now, and she's on the ground. She is like, she looks like she is really at her end. And Vaatu finally fuses with Unalaq. And I was saying last week that these 2 episodes might be like the battle to prevent him from becoming that, rather than him actually becoming a Dark Avatar. And yeah, he becomes a Dark Avatar. And it really doesn't look good. Korra, he's like, I am the new Avatar. This is a new era for spirits and humans. Rawr! And then Korra's like, the fuck it's not. And she just charges at him. And then we cut back to the Fog of Lost Souls, where Tenzin tells Kaya and Bumi, like, look, you guys have to keep your sanity intact, okay? Because this fog will fuck with you and try to bring out your insecurities, your worst memories, your character flaws. And then they're just like looking around, and we get a neat little cameo by Admiral Zhao from Last Airbender, who was the guy that Aang defeated at the Water Nation. And Zhao is still wandering around the fog. He's like, I'm Zhao the Conqueror. I will defeat the Avatar. I will find the Avatar. And he actually tries to attack Tenzin because he looks like Aang. And Kaya just, boom, water hoops that guy. And they try to flee. And so they're in the fog again. And yeah, Bumi and Kaya, they fall victim to the fog, where Bumi thinks I think he's surrounded by cannibals or something. And then Kaya becomes kind of like a nutjob crazy bitch, where she's like, I have no family. And they just run away from Tenzin. And Tenzin's like, fuck. Shit. And then meanwhile, of course, Korra and Unalaq, they're fighting again. And this is a great battle where I love these big battles where it's like 2 people and they're just using all their strength. And these guys have hired like the best animators in the business right now, because the animation is so great and the fight scenes are so kinetic and fantastic. I mean, I could go on and on about how amazing this battle is, but really, just the creativity that gets involved. And like, there's this part where he actually opens the earth, throws Korra into it, and tries to crush her with the ground. And then Korra, of course, like, activates Super Avatar mode and bursts out. And they just keep fighting again. And she's like, you cannot win. If you do, the earth will be destroyed, and I will not let that happen. And of course, we go back to Mako and Bolin being tied up they're trapped by Desna and Eska. And of course, they try reasoning with them again, like, look, your dad's evil, please, let us go, he's gonna destroy the world with darkness. And they're like, no. And Bolin actually starts to cry. He begins to, like, sob. And he's like, oh, I'm crying. Like, why the fuck are you crying? And he's like, I'm sad because I can never be with Eska. He's like, I'm so sorry, Eska. Now, because the world is going to be destroyed, we can't be a couple right now. And I think, I'm going to read the quote right here that he says, they could not rekindle the dying ember of their love into a big fire of love flames. Oh, Bolin. And this works. Eska, like, totally falls for it, and she kisses him and releases them. And Mako's like, wow, that was amazing acting, brother. Good job. And Bolin's like, yeah, that was acting. But then Korra again, fighting Unalaq, and Vaatu actually leaves Unalaq's body and goes down. This sounds gross, but goes down Korra's throat, extracts Rava from Korra, and like And Korra's just like, ugh, she just falls immediately. And Unalaq traps Rava in this like ice thing, and then Vaatu goes back into Unalaq's body and destroys Rava. He literally like throws Rava against this rock and smashes her, and I love this. There's this moment when like every time Rava takes a hit from Vaatu, you can see Korra's, like, each one of her past lives being disconnected forever with each blow, and I love that shit. Like, that is such a dark place to go, to, like, wipe the slate clean of not having any past lives. And it's so dark and just so heavy. And they got balls for doing something like that. And I really admire this show for going to that level of, oh shit, this is really fucked right here. And we also get back to Bolin and Mako, and they're watching this too, and they're just as horrified as Korra is. And it really just seems... And then Unalaq just destroys Rava. Just boom! She's gone. So we're at that. And then Tenzin, back at the fog thing. You know, Tenzin, he actually starts to become affected by the fog himself, and he's like, oh, I'm feeling like I can't uphold my father's legacy. I can't be my father. I can't be Aang. And here's the problem I have with this episode. A vision of Aang actually appears in front of Tenzin, and Aang's like, look, you're not me, okay? You can only be Tenzin. Don't strive throughout your whole life to be me. You will never be me. Be Tenzin. And I'm proud of you anyway for what you've done. And, okay, what was that? I know the Avatar is, like, all-powerful and can do really cool shit. I just did not... It's just such a convenient plot device that I mean, as touching as it is, and as nice as it was to see that, it just felt really half-assed to me. It just felt like, well, how are we going to get these guys out of the fog? Aang, throw Aang in there. He'll get Tenzin out. And that's really just what it felt like, because they really just... I don't know. And then the fog actually moves away so he can go grab Jinora and Kaya and Bumi, and they leave. I just... That did not really do anything for me, to be honest. That was just... that was taking the easy way out. That was really just taking the easy way out with that kind of story. And finally they get out of the fog, and they all regain their memory. They're like, huh? What happened? Shit. And Jinora, you know, really happy to see her dad. But she senses that something's really wrong. And she's like, oh, I must go help Korra. I'll see you soon, Dad. And she, like, actually disappears. Desna and Eska, they watch as Unalaq and Vaatu, they grow into, like, this fucking huge-ass Godzilla giant dark spirit thing. And he's like, 10,000 years of darkness will now begin. And he goes to Republic City. And that's where we end this episode. And I forgot to... I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you what the name of this episode is. This was the 13th episode of Book 2 called Darkness Falls. And, you know, hey, they got the name right. Because a lot of fucking darkness does fucking fall. And now we get to the season finale. Light in the Dark. And... so bittersweet. Season 4, I mean, not Season 4, Season 2, season finale, Light in the Dark. Alright, so we start off this episode with the president, you know, he's in Republic City, and he's still kind of like, yeah, well, I'm still not going to support this war. And then Vaatu, big Godzilla Vaatu, comes in to destroy Republic City. And the United Forces come. You see General Iroh, Zuko's grandson, I think, comes with his forces. And it's this. They start this big battle with the big ass kaiju Vaatu. I'm just gonna call it Kaiju Vaatu. And really, they're trying to just like hold this thing back. Not working because it's Vaatu and he's got major heavy ass powers. All right. So then Korra and Mako and Bolin, they're still back in the spirit realm, and Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi go to see them. They meet up, and they're healed, they're revived, and Korra's like, "Fuck, Rava's dead. I am officially like the last Avatar. I am the last Avatar." Wow. Jesus. And then we see, again, Kaiju Vaatu wrecking, destroying Republic City, and that allows Varrick to escape. We don't know where he's going, but he and his assistant escape, maybe on to, we never see him for the rest of the episode, maybe on to Season 3. So we can only hope for that. And Korra's lost, and she's really upset. And, Tenzin's they're like, "Oh, say something, Tenzin. Tell her something cool." And Tenzin's like, "Okay." And Tenzin goes with Korra to the Tree of Time and tells her, this tree is a record. It shows the memories of every person and never forgets anything. And, all the ancients used to meditate in the tree to connect with cosmic energy. Maybe you should do the same thing. Because to get your past lives back." And Korra goes in there, sits down to meditate, and she sees this flashback thing where it's back in beginnings where Wan tells her, asks Ra, "Why can't you just kill Vaatu?" And she's like, "Well, I can't. I can only keep him at bay because one cannot exist without the other. Light cannot exist without darkness. And once one is destroyed, it is absorbed and reborn inside the other." And Korra has this thing where she has a Last Airbender moment where she actually sees her giant avatar self in space holding that glowing white ball. And there's that path that leads toward it. It's like what Aang went through in Last Airbender. So she runs into it, and she becomes Kaiju Korra. Her spirit leaves her body, grows to this big-ass monster. Not a monster, but just big-ass spirit. Leaves the spirit world to go find Vaatu. And at this point, Vaatu's ready to just destroy the city. And Korra arrives, and pretty much they have this big kaiju fight. And here's one of my biggest problems with this episode. This battle is nowhere near as cool as the one between regular Korra and big ass Vaatu and and Unalaq. This just doesn't have the energy and the cool that it really just feels like a generic battle. And I was really disappointed by that because I was hoping they wouldn't do something like that. I'm like, please don't have this Godzilla versus King Kong thing going on. It would just be silly. And it was silly, and not in a good way. I mean, as cool as it was on an animation level, it just didn't really have the impact or the wow factor that the last couple fights have had. And and so Korra actually tries to look inside inside Unalaq for Rava, because you know the light will be reborn inside the darkness. Unalaq's like, ha ha ha, there is no Rava here, bitch, and then dark spirits actually start coming out into the spirit portal towards the Tree of Time, and they're after Korra. So then Kaya, Boomy, Tenzin, Mako, and Bolin, they fight these dark spirits, and Desna and Eska actually join the fight, because you gotta remember, Korra is their cousin, and she's family, so they help too. They're fighting back this huge wave of dark spirits. And then Unalaq grabs on the Korra, and he's like, I'm about ready to destroy you and fill you full of darkness. And here's where my biggest problem with this episode comes in. They do this series, this lore loves to do Deus Ex Machinas, because if you remember, there's the whole Deus Ex Machina at the end of season 1. They love their Deus Ex Machinas, where they got the lion turtle giving Aang energy bending. That's a Deus Ex Machina. I mean, as cool as it is a Deus Ex Machina. They got Korra magically having her powers come back at the end of season 1, and now you got this, where you got Deus Ex Jinora coming in, and she puts this light inside inside Unalaq, and it's Rava, and Korra goes in and grabs this pulls Rava out of Unalaq, and starts to do the purification thing on Unalaq that he used to do on like other spirits, where like swirls them around in this gold light, and they're just cleansed. And that's how she beats Unalaq. Okay, that was really underwhelming. We got this whole season building up towards a Godzilla versus King Kong fight, and then just Deus Ex Jinora. Okay, I didn't like that. I did not like that, and I'm really accepting when it comes to a lot of this show, like the Deus Ex Machinas, and I recognize that a lot of my friends don't feel the same way. A lot of my friends give this show shit for a lot of Deus Ex Machinas, and I just really didn't care for this one, and I thought it just kind of cheapened the impact. It just didn't make it all that great, and Jinora pretty much just became like a really lame plot device at that point. And I'm like, how the fuck did she get... I know she has a connection to spirits, but I didn't know she had that great of a fucking connection. I wish they had gone into detail more about that. So, and then Korra, goes back to her body, the spirit goes back to her body, and the spirits are defeated, and it's all good. And Jinora goes, oh, I will see you soon, Dad, and she returns in her body, and she wakes up with Katara, Asami, Tonraq, and Korra's mom, I forgot her name, and she's like, Korra just saved the whole world, and says it kind of just like that. Korra just saved the whole world. And I'm like, okay, that's it? Really? That's it? I mean, okay. And then, of course, Korra, and actually really cool, she rebonds with Rava, and the connection of the two portals, and they do that really cool thing where it's just, boom! She just becomes Avatar again, in like a flash of light, and they play the music. That was the one, like, oh shit, like, really cool part of this episode. And then they have this whole, like, woohoo, we did it moment! They're all running towards Korra and hugging her. And Korra walks up to Desna and Eska, and he's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't save your father. And they're just like, we don't give a shit. we don't care. We don't know how we're going to explain this to Mom, but, we don't care. We're not going to miss him. Yeah, I don't think he ever really cared for us. Oh well. yeah, and then Bolin talks to Esna, and she's like, hey, she's like, oh, we have to leave and go back. And he's like, well, why don't you move to Republic City with me? And Eska's like, no, I can't leave my brother. And he's like, well, Desna can come too. And she's like, no, we have to go back to the Northern Water Tribe. I'm sorry. And they pretty much say their goodbyes. And Eska tells Bolin, I love these lines from these two, that he will always have a special place in the organ that pumps her blood. Goodbye, my turtle duck. And so ends that really crazy-ass relationship that I've really enjoyed seeing play out throughout this whole season. Oh, I just love that shit. So then Tenzin goes with Korra to the Northern Portal, and he's like, oh, I'm so proud of you, Korra. And Korra realizes that, yeah, like, her past lives are really gone. And she is now the first Avatar. And Korra's about to close the portal, but then she actually has this moment where she's like, what if Unalaq was right? What if humans and spirits should live together in harmony? And Tenzin's like, look, I'm proud of you. Whatever decision you'll make, I know it will be the right one. And Korra's like, okay. So she actually leaves the spirit portals open so that the spirits can come into the real world freely and they can mingle. And you know that's bound to cause some shit in Season 3. So, alright. I mean, it's nice as it is, and I like that Korra's actually making, like, world-changing decisions as the Avatar, taking on that responsibility. So that definitely shows character growth. And then we get to the moment that was probably the best in the whole episode and the most realistic, and it was also the hardest to watch, where Korra goes up to Mako, and Mako's like, look, I gotta tell you something. Remember how I said our fight wasn't that bad? It actually really was that bad, and we actually broke up. And Korra's like, look, I remember the fight. When I was in the Tree of Time, yeah, my memory kind of came back to me. And Mako's like, I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want to hurt you. And I wish that had never happened, the fight. And Korra and Mako come to this agreement that they're like, oh, we're just two different people. You know, we cannot have this relationship. It will never work out. And so they have like a final kiss, and they're like, oh, I will always love you, Korra. And she's like, oh, I will always love you too, Mako. And they walk away. And that is such a, oh god, I love that moment. One, big character moment for those two. Really shows their growth as people. Two, it's realistic, and they actually, like, it's likable that they're thinking realistically, and it's not just some, like, as cool, as nice as it would have been, it's not some, like, cheesy, oh, we're instantly back together kind of thing, because you still got that glaring look from Asami, and he's probably still going to go back to her. And three, it's just, it's nice. It's a nice moment, it's a sweet moment. But it was also really difficult to watch because I wanted those two to get back together. But there's still that part of me that's like, yeah, I agree. This would never work. And it was just such a great moment. And Korra makes this speech like, the Civil War has officially ended, and Southern Water Tribe is now completely independent from the North. Woohoo! Yay! And my dad is the new chief, and I'm going to leave open... I'm going to leave open the spirit portal so the spirits can visit the human world and the humans can visit the spirit world. And because of Unalaq, there's now a lot of imbalance in this world, and she's going to try to be her best. She's going to continue to be the Avatar, and she's no longer the bridge between the spirit world and the regular world. And that a new age has definitely begun. And harmonic convergence has shifted the Earth's energy, and the world will never be the same again. And so ends Book 2, Spirits. And I've actually heard like really cool stuff about Season 3. right now, actually, it's going to be called Changes. And it's going to be really about, like, what happens after Korra opens the spirit world, and, like, what happens where, like, there's going to be, there's going to be problems that's going to arise from this. And what did I think of this season like, overall? I really loved it. I really, I still have my problems with it, like Deus Ex Genora and the kaiju fight. I really enjoyed this season. But I do think season 1 was better. I think it was better paced. I think there was more. The finale was much more satisfying. And it just seemed to have a lot more. It had a better balance of character and humor and action than I think this one had, because it still had a great balance of it, but it was more impactful in wind and air, whatever, fuck. And I still really, really enjoyed this season. I hope they release this on Blu-ray. I'm still trying to get the first season on Blu-ray. Please, Black Friday, make it happen. And I hope they release this on Blu-ray too, because this definitely will look fucking amazing on my TV, watching, especially that fight between Juan and Vaatu. That will be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm going to give some helpful hints to this season. I hope, I doubt it. I really doubt it, but I hope some of the writers and maybe the creator are watching this video right now, getting my opinion on it. I'm like, I hope in the future, as much as there is a lot of filler in, like, Avatar The Last Airbender with, like, I think it's stretched to, like, 20 episodes a season, it was great filler, and it developed character. I kind of want to see filler episodes for Legend of Korra, as long as they're well written, and they actually, like, make sense of the character development, they actually add something to Korra and Mako and Balin and Asami. That would be great. Just have an episode where they go on like a date or something, where characters go on a date. Have an episode where just something happens outside of the village that's not related to the main plot, so that they can deal with that and grow as characters and still be more accepting, like as her role as the Avatar. Also, these episodes are really rushed. Some of them feel rushed. I really would like to see these episodes be extended to an hour each. And I'm not just talking about 2 episodes a night. I'm talking about 1 episode each night and have it be an hour. And then when you get to the season finale, the 2-episode season finale, have that be 2 hours. Because that would be great. I would love to see that. I think it would give more time to the characters. I think it would improve the pacing of this show. And also, I had no idea there were really only 2 writers for this show. There's really 2 writers, and they're the creators. You got Michael Dante DiMartino and Josh Hamilton. Really, these are the only 2 writers. And I think what helped, I think book 1 had more writers. And I think that helped it, because, you know, the more creative minds you got in there, the better. And I think that's what worked with Avatar: The Last Airbender, because you had this big collection of writers blending their ideas in flawlessly. But when you're only working with, like, 2 writers for a whole season, it just kind of, you start to see where the pacing gets, like, kind of weird, and it just doesn't, you know, it just doesn't really gel as well as when you have big, like, more writers on board. And I could be wrong. There could be more writers, but right now I've heard there's only been, like, 2 writers throughout this whole series. So I hope they bring in more writers. And yeah, I really enjoy doing this. I'm gonna have to find something else to do now on a weekly basis. Maybe when Justified or Archer comes back on, I'll start reviewing those. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've loved doing this Legend of Korra thing. Of course, if you love Legend of Korra, if you do agree with me, if you disagree with me, I want to hear about it in the comments section. If you like what you see, subscribe to my channel. I got more stuff coming out, the more stuff that I do. And as always, have a good one, guys.